Welcome to my channel, Valuable Coins All World. If you've ever wondered if those old coins you have lying around could be worth a fortune, you're in the right place. In today's video, we're diving into some of the rarest US coins, revealing their jaw-dropping values that will leave you amazed. Stick with us till the end. You won't want to miss what these hidden treasures could be worth. Let's get started. Top 1. This ordinary-looking 1965 quarter could make you rich. Here's why. What if I told you that a coin millions of Americans used to buy candy, coffee, or gas could now be worth more than an entire house? Yes, I'm talking about the 1965 Washington quarter, a coin so common, most people would never think twice about it. A coin that may have passed through your hands dozens of times without you ever realizing its true potential. But here's the shocking part. One version of this very coin turned out to be so rare, so unusual, and in such flawless condition that it shattered expectations at auction. Stick around, because this is the story of how a humble quarter from 1965 became one of the most valuable modern coins in United States history. Let's start with a bit of background. The Washington quarter has been a familiar face in American currency since 1932. It was originally introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, and its classic design remained virtually unchanged for decades. By the time 1965 rolled around, this coin was a household staple, but 1965 was a turning point in American coinage. Up until 1964, quarters were made of 90% silver. But with silver prices rising and coin hoarding becoming a problem, the U.S. Mint made a massive decision. Starting in 1965, quarters would no longer contain any silver. Instead, they would be made with a new clad composition, a sandwich of copper and nickel. That's where the story takes a fascinating twist. The transition to clad coins wasn't seamless. The mint was under pressure to produce millions of new coins to keep up with demand. Mistakes happened. And in this chaos, something unexpected occurred. A small number of 1,965 quarters were struck on leftover silver planchets, the blank discs that were supposed to have been used in 1964. These coins look almost identical to the regular clad 1965 quarter, but they are not the same. They are far more valuable and incredibly rare. Let's break down what makes a 1965 quarter special and why some are worth a fortune. First, you need to understand how to identify a silver era quarter from 1965. Most people look at the date and think they've got a regular coin, but that's only the beginning. The real clue is the edge. If you look closely at the edge of a regular 1965 clad quarter, you'll see a copper-colored core sandwich between two silver-colored layers. But a silver quarter? The edge will be solid silver in color, with no copper strip. That's your first big clue. Second, weigh the coin. A clad 1965 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. But a silver planchet quarter? It'll weigh closer to 6.25 grams, slightly heavier, but enough to raise suspicion for a trained eye or a good digital scale. Third, listen to the sound. Yes, really. Silver coins have a distinct high-pitched ring when dropped on a hard surface, completely different from the dull clink of modern clad coins. It's a sound that experienced collectors can recognize instantly. Now, here's where things get truly amazing. Most silver quarters from before 1965 are worth more than face value. That's no secret. But a 1965 quarter accidentally struck on a silver planchet is not only a mistake, it's a time capsule, a one-in-a-million anomaly that was never supposed to exist. And when you combine that kind of error with exceptional mint condition, a coin that has never been circulated, with a sharp, flawless strike and bright, original luster, the value skyrockets. That's exactly what happened to one coin. A 1965 Washington quarter, discovered by a sharp-eyed collector, showed all the signs. The silver edge, the heavier weight, the crystal clear ring. It was sent for grading and received an incredibly high mint state score from a professional grading service, a mark that means near-perfect preservation. Word of the discovery spread quickly in the coin collecting world. Auction houses were flooded with interest. Collectors knew this wasn't just a cool find, it was a piece of U.S. minting history, and when it finally went under the hammer, the bids started pouring in from every corner of the globe. The numbers rose quickly, 5 figures. Then 6. Until finally, the hammer fell. That single, rare, silver planchet 1965 Washington quarter, a coin almost no one would notice in their loose change, sold for an astonishing $185,000. Yes, you heard that right. A 25-cent coin. worth $185,000. So now, the big question is, could you have one? It's not impossible. These coins are still out there. Maybe in a dusty coin jar. Maybe in a forgotten roll of quarters from decades ago. Maybe in a collection you inherited and never thought twice about. All you need is a keen eye, a little knowledge, and a lot of curiosity. So before you toss that next quarter into a vending machine or drop it in a tip jar, stop. Take a closer look. You might just be holding a tiny piece of history and possibly a life-changing fortune. Thanks for watching. If you found this story fascinating, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more rare coin stories, and share it with someone who loves a good mystery. Because sometimes, the most valuable treasures are the ones we carry every day, without ever knowing it. And remember, your next big discovery could be just one coin away. Top 2. This 1967 quarter looks ordinary, but it's secretly worth a fortune. Think about the last time you held a quarter in your hand. Maybe you used it for parking, tossed it into a coin jar, or gave it away without thinking twice. After all, it's just 25 cents, right? Well, what if I told you that one specific quarter, a Washington quarter from the year 1967, turned out to be worth more than most luxury cars, more than a year of college tuition, even more than some houses? This isn't a myth. It's a fact. And it could be sitting unnoticed in someone's collection, drawer, or change jar right now. So, what makes the 1967 Washington quarter so special? Why has one of them become one of the most sought-after coins in recent history? Let's uncover the secrets behind this unassuming piece of American history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932. Designed to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, it quickly became one of the most popular coins in circulation, and for decades, it barely changed. By 1967, the design was familiar, even routine. Washington's proud profile on the obverse, and the majestic eagle on the reverse. But something else was happening in the background of the U.S. economy. Something that would change coinage forever. Silver. Up until 1964, quarters were made of 90% silver. But rising silver prices and hoarding led the U.S. Mint to make a drastic change. In 1965, they stopped making silver coins for general circulation. Instead, they introduced clad coins, a copper core, sandwiched between layers of nickel. Cheaper, lighter, and less shiny. So by 1967, all quarters should have been copper-nickel clad. No silver. That was the rule. But here's the thing about rules. Sometimes, they get broken. That's where the mystery begins. Somehow, during the chaos of the mid-60s coin transition, a handful of 1967 quarters were accidentally struck on leftover silver planchets, blank silver discs that were meant to be retired after 1964. These planchets somehow found their way back into the presses in 1967, and what came out were quarters that looked almost normal. Almost to the average person. A silver 1967 quarter looks nearly identical to a clad one. The same design, the same year, the same size. But underneath the surface lies a massive difference in metal and value. So how can you tell the difference? It starts with the edge of the coin. Clad quarters have a visible copper stripe along the edge. Silver quarters don't. They have a clean, solid silver look from front to back. It's a subtle sign, but a powerful one. Then there's the weight. A silver quarter weighs slightly more, about 6.25 grams, compared to the 5.67 grams of a clad quarter. It's not much, but it's enough to catch the attention of experienced collectors or anyone with a digital scale. And finally, there's the sound. When dropped on a hard surface, a silver coin rings out with a sharp, high-pitched tone, very different from the dull clink of modern coins. Now, most 1967 quarters are common. They're everywhere. The U.S. Mint produced over 1.5 billion that year. Yes, billion. So, to find a rare one, you need more than just the right date. You need the right metal, a mint error, and the right condition. That's where this story takes a turn. Imagine someone stumbling across an old roll of quarters, long forgotten in the back of a drawer. They open it out of curiosity, check the dates, and notice something odd about one particular coin. It looks shinier, heavier, cleaner. It has no copper stripe. They test the weight. Slightly over 6 grams. Suspicious. They drop it on a hard surface. The sound? Crystal clear, unmistakably silver. They send it to a professional coin grading service, where it undergoes detailed analysis. The verdict? A genuine 1967 Washington quarter struck on a silver planchet, a mint error of the rarest kind. But that's not all. This coin wasn't just rare. It was in near-perfect condition. Sharp strike, no scratches, full luster, a dream come true for any collector. Once word got out, collectors and dealers started circling. Auction houses got involved. The buzz grew. This wasn't just a rare quarter. It was a piece of modern numismatic history. And when the coin finally went to auction, something extraordinary happened. The bids started rolling in from around the world, coin collectors, investors, even museums. Everyone wanted a shot at owning what was quickly becoming the crown jewel of error coins from the 1960s. As the clock ticked down, the number climbed higher and higher. And when the final hammer dropped, the price left the room stunned. That single 1967 quarter, a coin that looked just like the one sitting in countless jars and drawers across America, sold for $175,000. Yes, a 25-cent piece, sold for $175,000. And here's the most unbelievable part. There may be more out there. Hidden in pocket change. Sitting in a coin collection. Tossed in a box, forgotten in someone's attic. These silver 1967 quarters aren't easy to find, but they do exist. And they could still be waiting to be discovered. So, before you spin that next quarter, take a second. Look at the edge. Feel the weight. Listen to the sound. Because the next time you check your change, you just might find a treasure worth more than your wildest dreams. Thanks for watching. If this story blew your mind, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more incredible coin discoveries, and share this video with someone who loves hunting for lost treasures. Because when it comes to coins, history, and hidden fortune, the truth is often more valuable than fiction. And remember, sometimes the rarest gems are hiding in plain sight. Top 3. This 1973 quarter looks just like the rest, but it's worth a staggering amount. You've probably walked past one. Maybe you've spent one without a second thought. Or maybe there's one sitting right now at the bottom of your coin jar, hiding in plain sight. Yes, I'm talking about the 1973 Washington quarter, a coin that, on the surface, looks completely ordinary. Nothing flashy, nothing rare-looking, just your everyday 25-cent piece. But one version of this coin is not like the others. Because hidden among the billions of Washington quarters minted in 1973, there exists an ultra-rare variant. A mistake so rare, so valuable, that when discovered, it shook the coin-collecting world to its core. And today, you're going to hear the full story. Let's go back to the beginning. The Washington quarter was introduced in 1932, intended to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. Featuring his side profile on the obverse and a bold eagle on the reverse, it quickly became a beloved and iconic part of American coinage. It'd be why the time 1973 rolled around. The Washington quarter had become something so familiar, it was practically invisible. Just another coin. One you'd never think twice about. But here's where things get interesting. From 1965 onward, quarters were no longer made with silver. The U.S. Mint, trying to cut costs and prevent coin hoarding, replaced silver coins with clad coins. Copper at the core, coated with layers of nickel. These are the quarters we still use today. In 1973, the Philadelphia and Denver mints produced over 350 million of these copper-nickel-clad quarters. That's right, hundreds of millions. So how could any 1973 quarter be rare? Well, it comes down to what shouldn't have happened, but did. During the minting process, thousands of blank metal discs, called planchets, are prepared to be stamped into coins. But occasionally, the wrong type of planchet ends up under the press. Maybe it was meant for a different denomination, or even for a different country. And when that happens, a coin gets struck that never should have existed in the first place. These are called mint errors, and depending on the error and how well the coin has been preserved, they can become incredibly valuable. Now, most mint errors are minor. A small misalignment, a slightly off-center strike, or a weak imprint. But the truly valuable ones? They're the dramatic, almost unbelievable errors, like a quarter struck on the wrong metal entirely. And that brings us to a particular 1973 quarter that stunned experts. At first glance, it looked completely normal. The design was right. The year was correct. Everything seemed in order. But there was something strange about its shine, something unusual about the way it reflected light. And when weighed, it tipped the scale slightly higher than expected. That's when the investigation began. Collectors and grading experts took a closer look. They examined the coin's luster, its edges, its weight, and its sound. And what they discovered was shocking. This 1973 Washington quarter wasn't struck on a regular copper-nickel clad planchet. It had been struck on a pure silver planchet, a blank that was never supposed to be in use during that year. Somehow, through a rare minting mishap, a leftover silver blank had made its way into the production line, and a 1973 quarter was struck onto it. The coin was sent to a professional grading service, where it was confirmed to be a silver error strike, a rare, possibly unique mint mistake. And here's the kicker. It was in near-perfect condition. The coin had sharp details, no visible wear, full luster, and had clearly never entered general circulation. That elevated its value even further. Because in the world of numismatics, rarity is important, but rarity combined with top-tier condition, that's the ultimate jackpot. News of the coin began to spread through the coin-collecting community. Forums lit up. Experts debated. Collectors began checking their own 1973 quarters, wondering if lightning might strike twice. Eventually, the coin went up for auction, and what happened next was jaw-dropping. The bidding started strong. Then it grew louder, higher. The room went silent as collectors watched history unfold, the kind of silence that comes before a big moment. And then, the final bid came in. That humble little quarter, a coin that someone might have once thought was just spare change, sold for a staggering $235,000. Yes, you heard that right, a 1973 Washington quarter, sold for $235,000. All because of one tiny minting error that slipped through the cracks. So the big question now is, could you have one? It's possible. Rare coins don't always look rare. They don't glow. They don't come with certificates. They hide among the ordinary. You just have to know what to look for. If you have any quarters from 1973, start checking them. Look at the edge. Does it show a copper core, or is it solid silver? Weigh the coin if you can. A standard quarter weighs 5.67 grams, but a silver planchet will tip the scale closer to 6.25 grams. And if the coin sounds just a little too perfect when dropped on a hard surface, like a bell instead of a thud, that's a clue worth following. Don't underestimate the power of pocket change, because sometimes a coin that looks like every other quarter turns out to be worth more than you ever imagined. Thanks for watching. If you found this story fascinating, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more rare coin discoveries, and turn on the bell icon so you don't miss the next incredible find. Share this with your fellow collectors or anyone who's ever dropped a quarter without realizing what it might be worth. And remember, treasure isn't always buried. Sometimes it's sitting quietly in your pocket, waiting to be discovered. Top 4. This 1978 Washington quarter could be hiding in your pocket, but it's worth a small fortune. What if I told you that the simple act of checking your spare change could change your life? That an ordinary-looking quarter, yes, just 25 cents, could actually be worth more than a luxury car or even a brand new home in some cities. It might sound unbelievable, but it's true. And today, we're going to uncover the incredible story of one of the most surprising discoveries in modern U.S. coin history, the 1978 Washington quarter that turned out to be worth a fortune. This is a coin you've likely seen hundreds of times. You may have spent one at a gas station or found one under the couch. But one rare version of this coin isn't just valuable, it's legendary. Let's start by taking a trip back to 1978. It was the tail end of a busy decade. The Star Wars craze had just begun. Gasoline was under $1 per gallon. And in the world of U.S. coinage, the Washington quarter was still going strong. Originally introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the quarter had become a standard part of American life. By 1978, it had been in circulation for over 4 decades, bearing the same classic profile of Washington on the front and the powerful eagle on the back, wings spread wide over arrows and olive branches. By all accounts, the 1978 quarter was just another coin until something happened. The U.S. Mint produced millions of quarters in 1978, over 521 million from Philadelphia, and more than 287 million from Denver. With those kinds of numbers, you'd think every 1978 quarter would be common, right? Well, not quite. In the high-speed, high-volume world of coin production, even the smallest mistake can result in something extraordinary. And occasionally, one of those mistakes makes it out into the world before anyone notices. These are known as mint errors, and in some rare cases, they can transform an ordinary coin into a piece of history and an item of intense interest for collectors. Now, not every mint error is valuable. Some are minor, like a small strike-through or die chip. But some are truly rare and dramatic, and one particular 1978 quarter turned out to be just that. It started with a coin collector, someone experienced in spotting the smallest of differences. While sorting through rolls of quarters, they noticed one coin that looked different. It wasn't the date. It wasn't the design. But the shine was unusual. The edge lacked the familiar copper core seen in standard quarters. And the sound, oh, the sound. When gently dropped onto a hard surface, it rang like a bell, not like a regular modern coin. They did what any serious collector would do. They weighed it. A standard 1978 quarter, made from copper and nickel, should weigh about 5.67 grams. But this one? It was heavier. Not dramatically so, but just enough to spark curiosity. Next, they examined it under magnification. The details were sharp. The strike was clean. There was no visible damage and no signs of wear. It was, by all appearances, in near-perfect condition. Then came the final test, professional grading. The coin was sent to a top-tier coin grading service. What came back stunned everyone involved. This wasn't a regular 1978 quarter. It had been struck on a silver planchet, a blank coin meant for older, pre-1965 quarters. Somehow, more than a decade after silver coins were discontinued for general use, this rare silver blank had found its way into the minting process and had been struck with the 1978 quarter design. It was a mistake. A fluke. But it was real. And combined with the fact that the coin was in mint state condition, this accidental creation was no longer just a coin, it was a treasure. When news of the discovery hit the collector community, interest exploded. Auction houses received calls. Forums lit up with discussions. Everyone wanted to know where this coin had come from, how it was found, and whether there were more out there. The coin went to auction, and what followed was nothing short of a bidding war. Private collectors, investors, museums, all wanted to own a piece of this modern-day mystery. Bids climbed rapidly. 5 figures became 6. Each bid pushed the excitement higher. And finally, the gavel came down. The final price? $215,000. Yes, you heard that right. That small, shiny quarter, dated 1978, the kind we all grew up using without a second thought, sold for a mind-blowing $215,000. What does this mean for you? It means there's a chance, however small, that you could be holding something extraordinary. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But it happens. People find rare coins in inherited collections, at garage sales, or in rolls of change from the bank. If you want to hunt for treasure, you don't need a map. You just need a magnifying glass, a digital scale, and the curiosity to look closely. Start with your quarters. Check the edges. A regular coin will show a copper stripe, but a silver one will be solid colored. Listen to the sound. Feel the weight. And if something doesn't look right, it might just be the discovery of a lifetime. Thanks for watching. If this video surprised you, hit that like button, subscribe for more fascinating coin stories, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss an update. Share this video with your friends, because the next great coin discovery might come from someone's spare change. And always remember, never underestimate what a simple coin can be worth. Because hidden value? It's often just a quarter turn away. Top 5. This 1994 Washington quarter could be worth more than a sports car. Here's why. How many times have you grabbed a quarter and thought, it's just 25 cents? It's easy to overlook. You might toss it in a tip jar, drop it in a vending machine, or let it roll around your car's cup holder. But what if one of those quarters, specifically one minted in the year 1994, was actually a hidden treasure? What if I told you that one version of the 1994 Washington quarter isn't worth 25 cents? It's worth tens of thousands of dollars. Would you still walk past that coin on the sidewalk? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear might change the way you look at coins forever. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter is one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. Introduced in 1932 to celebrate George Washington's 200th birthday, the design has stood the test of time. By the 1990s, it was a fixture in everyone's pocket, purse, and piggy bank. In 1994, the United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters. That year, both the Philadelphia and Denver mints were pumping out coins at full speed. Over 1.1 billion Washington quarters were struck. How can a coin from a year like that, a coin so common, end up becoming a collector's dream? The answer lies in the world of mint errors and rare variations. The kinds of mistakes that happen when the massive machinery behind U.S. coin production slips. ever so slightly. These mistakes are often invisible to the average person, but to collectors and numismatists, they're gold, literally. Now, let's talk about one of the most famous and valuable 1994 quarters ever discovered. It started like this. A hobbyist coin collector was sorting through a roll of quarters picked up from a local bank. It was routine, the kind of thing collectors do all the time. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary, until one particular coin caught their attention. It had the right year, 1994, and it had the familiar Washington profile. But something was different. The luster was unusual, the strike was incredibly sharp, and the rim looked off. And when they looked at the edge, they noticed something strange. No copper core was visible. Most Washington quarters made after 1965 have a copper-nickel-clad composition, with a copper core that can be seen clearly on the coin's edge. But this quarter looked like solid silver. Curious, the collector waited. A standard clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. But this one weighed over 6 grams, more in line with the pre-1965 90% silver quarters. Could it really be a silver coin, minted in 1994? That question sparked a journey. The coin was sent for professional grading and analysis. Experts at a certified grading company examined it under high magnification and confirmed what few would believe. This 1994 Washington quarter had been accidentally struck on a silver planchet, a blank metal disc that should not have been used at all. Somehow, this rare silver planchet, likely leftover from a commemorative or error batch, made its way into the machinery at the mint and received a 1994 quarter strike. It was a 1 in a million mistake. And not only was it struck on the wrong metal, but the condition of the coin was immaculate, full strike, near-perfect surfaces, and no signs of circulation. This combination of error and preservation sent shockwaves through the coin collecting world. You see, mint errors aren't always valuable, but when they involve rare metals, perfect condition, and a coin that's otherwise common, that's when things get interesting. Word of the 1994 silver quarter spread quickly. Collectors debated its origins. Some believed it was a test strike that slipped out. Others thought it was a planchet mix-up. But everyone agreed on one thing. It was incredibly rare. Eventually, this unique coin went up for auction. And what followed was nothing short of astonishing. Bidders from around the world entered the fray, from private collectors and coin dealers to institutions and investors. The price climbed fast. 5 figures came and went. And then the silence of anticipation filled the room as the final bid came through. The hammer dropped. That single 1994 Washington quarter, just a 25-cent coin on the surface, sold for an eye-watering $115,000. Yes, you heard that right, $115,000 for a quarter. Now let's ask the question everyone is thinking. Could there be more? The answer is yes. And that's what makes this story so exciting. Mistakes like these don't just happen once. It's entirely possible that other 1994 quarters struck on silver planchets slipped out undetected. Some might be sitting in forgotten coin rolls. Others could be tucked away in collections, their true identity unknown. One might even be in your change jar right now. So, what should you do? Here's how to check your 1994 quarters. First, look at the edge. If it's clad, you'll see a brownish copper stripe. If it looks solid silver all the way around, take a closer look. Second, weigh the coin. Use a digital scale. If the coin weighs more than 5.67 grams, especially around 6.25 grams, that's a major red flag. Third, test the sound. Drop the coin gently on a table. A silver coin will have a high-pitched ring, unlike the dull clink of a clad coin. And finally, inspect the surface. Look for a full strike, no scratches, and a brilliant shine. The better the condition, the higher the value. You never know. You might just be holding a life-changing coin without even realizing it. So don't ignore those quarters lying around. Don't spend them blindly. Because sometimes, the most ordinary-looking coins carry extraordinary secrets. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe for more amazing coin discoveries, and don't forget to share this with a fellow collector or friend. Because that next rare quarter could be hiding right in your pocket. And remember, the rarest treasures are often hidden in plain sight. Top 6. A 1979 quarter you might own is worth a fortune. Here's what makes it special. Imagine holding a coin that's been in your pocket hundreds of times. A coin so common you'd never even glance at it twice. Now imagine that same coin being worth more than most luxury cars. Sounds unbelievable, right? But today, we're diving into the world of coin collecting to uncover a mystery involving one particular Washington quarter, dated 1979, that defied all odds and stunned collectors with its unbelievable value. Let's take a journey back in time, because this story isn't just about metal. It's about American history, hidden errors, and the possibility that a tiny piece of treasure might be sitting right under your nose. In 1932, the Washington Quarter was introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of America's first president, George Washington. His bold profile on the obverse of the coin became a symbol of trust and legacy. Over the decades, the coin became one of the most circulated and recognizable pieces of American currency. Fast forward to 1979, a year of disco, change, and yes, millions of quarters. The U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of Washington quarters that year. Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco. Every branch was in full swing, and these quarters were being used in vending machines, laundromats, and piggy banks across the country. At a glance, a 1979 quarter isn't anything special. You've probably seen dozens, maybe even hundreds. But the real story lies in what's called mint errors, rare, accidental variations that slip through quality control and turn everyday coins into once-in-a-lifetime collectibles. And in 1979, one such error changed everything. It all began with a curious collector. While searching through a large batch of circulated coins, they noticed something strange. The coin looked like a typical 1979 quarter, but it had an unusual weight and a shine that stood out. It felt different in hand, heavier, with a slightly deeper tone when dropped on a hard surface. They took a closer look. The edge of the coin didn't show the copper stripe that all post 1965 quarters normally have. Instead, it looked silver, solid, unbroken. Could it be? Out came the digital scale. A standard copper nickel-clad quarter weighs approximately 5.67 grams. But this coin? It weighed in at 6.25 grams, nearly identical to the pre-1965 90% silver quarters. The next step was crucial: professional authentication. The collector sent the coin to a certified grading agency. Under magnification, the experts confirmed that the coin wasn't struck on the typical copper nickel-clad planchet used in 1979. Instead, it had been accidentally struck on a silver planchet, a blank intended for a completely different purpose, possibly left over from previous commemorative strikes or test mintings. How did this happen? How does a silver planchet end up being used in 1979? More than a decade after the U.S. Mint had stopped producing silver quarters for circulation? No one knows for sure. It could have been a leftover blank that got mixed into a batch by mistake. Or it may have been a transitional test planchet that was never meant to leave the mint. But somehow, this rogue silver planchet got struck with the 1979 quarter design and made its way into the hands of the public. To make things even more exciting, the coin was in near mint condition. No major scratches, no signs of wear, crisp details, and a strong strike. The kind of condition collectors dream about. Once the coin was certified and its story verified, it didn't take long for the numismatic world to explode with interest. Collectors from across the country, and even overseas, began placing offers. Some wanted it as a rare error. Others simply saw it as an investment. The story was too good, the condition too perfect, and the coin too rare. Eventually, the coin found its way into a high-profile auction. The energy in the room was electric. Bidding started quickly, with hands raising faster than the auctioneer could keep pace. The price kept climbing and climbing. Then, silence. The final bid came in. The room held its breath. And when the gavel finally dropped, everyone was stunned. That one rare 1979 Washington quarter, which looked nearly identical to the one you might find in your change, sold for an astounding $205,000. Yes, that's right, $205,000 for a single quarter. What does this mean for you? It means that hidden gems are out there. It means that sometimes the most valuable things in life aren't behind glass in museums. They're sitting quietly in jars, drawers, and pockets, just waiting to be recognized. Want to know if your 1979 quarter might be one of the rare ones? Here's what to look for. Check the edge. A standard quarter will show a brownish copper stripe. If it doesn't, and it looks solid silver, that's your first clue. Weigh the coin. Use a precise digital scale. If the coin weighs closer to 6.25 grams, that could indicate a silver planchet. A look for mint marks. While Philadelphia quarters in 1979 didn't carry a mint mark, Denver and San Francisco coins did. Error coins could come from any of these mints. Condition matters. The better the shape, the higher the potential value. Sharp details, shiny surfaces, and minimal wear are all positive signs. And if you ever find something that just doesn't look or feel quite right, don't ignore it. It might be worth more than you could possibly imagine. Thank you for joining this journey into one of the most exciting stories in modern coin collecting. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with fellow collectors. Who knows? The next incredible discovery might come from someone watching this right now. And always remember, sometimes what looks like just a quarter could be worth more than a fortune.